There it goes. Yeah. Let him hear you, folks. Let him hear you. Come join us as we take you on a trip from the practice pen to the show arena and let you listen in as top trainers prepare their students to compete in the Western industry's most exciting equine sport. And you'll learn what it takes to become a top weekend cutter.
Just relax, Robert.
Very good, Chase. Keep pushing on that horn, bud.
Outside leg just a little. There you go. Stay up. Back up. Stay up. There you go. Good. Don't lean. There you go.
People from all walks of life can find a place in our sport.
But Symbiont helps us reduce, if not eliminate, our worries on EHV1, E. coli, Salmonella, Staph, Listeria, and H1N1. You can't ask for much more than that.
The rural American lifestyle. It's how we work, and it's how we play. It's how we learn and how we enjoy the finer things in life. How we take care of our animals and tend to the land. It's a way of life. Has been for hundreds of years. Now there's a whole new way for rural America to watch TV. Hey folks, welcome to Cuttin Up. I'm your host, Kenny Emai. This is your weekly television show dedicated to the sport of cutting horses. This week, we are going to go visit with one of the legends of our sport, Mr. Keith Barnett. We're going to go back 6 years. I got to go sit down with him in Brenham, Texas, and have a lot of fun visiting with him and his lovely wife, Miss Paula, and learn a lot about, you know, when Keith got started in the sport back in the late 50s. You know, Roger Peters said that Keith Barnett was his personal horse mechanic because he could get Smokes 2D2 or Lucky Bottom 18 running off on one end or the other and head his bus down there to Brenham, Texas and stay with Keith for a few days, get his horse fixed and get back out on the road and in the standings. Now let's go to Brenham, Texas, thanks to Symbiont Ag Wash, and visit with Keith Barnett. Remember, Symbiont is how you take care of your horse's biohealth. When you're traveling up and down the road and you want to keep your stalls and your tack and everything that your horse is going to touch in these public venues, public arenas, carry a bottle of Symbiont Ag Wash. Remember to spray before you stay. Go to www.symbiontagwash.com. Find a dealer close to you where you can get your hands on some. Just keep a bucket with you in your trailer for peace of mind. Now let's go to Brenham, Texas and catch up with the legend, Keith Barnett. Well, folks, this is one of those special episodes that we're real tickled to bring you. We're going to be visiting with one of the legends of our industry, Mr. Keith Barnett. Keith, thank you very much for having us out here and taking the time to, out of your busy schedule with this ranch you got going. You got lots going on. To take the time to spend with us is an honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
That you've done some things in this industry that nobody's done. I'd venture to say that there's not anybody else in this industry that's had a top 10 horse spanning over 6 decades.
Well, I was lucky enough they didn't give me much odds that I'd live past 30, so I beat the odds if nothing else.
Well, we're glad that you're still here and we can get to sit and visit with you and talk about some of these horses you've had. You kind of started cutting in the late 50s, and I know that I've got to sit down and look at some of the pictures with you of different horses, and I guess the first one would be about 1959, a horse named Redwine.
Yeah, that horse belonged to a good friend of ours named L.H. Turner, and it was actually the first show horse that I got to ride. I mean, you know, we'd cut cattle, did this, that, and other, and cowboyed all over the world, but this was a good show horse, and L.H. got me to ride this horse, and he taught me a lot. He was a good pony.
How old were you when you was riding Redwine?
Oh, I think I was 16 or 17.
That's amazing, and it's just, and before that, you were showing, you know, some reining horses, some halter horses. So you started at a young age messing with these horses.
Well, I did. I was born and raised up in a rodeo family. My dad, he roped and bulldog, and was quite all around hand. Won Madison Square Garden, and he run the Mesquite Rodeo for Neil Gay and Jim Shoulders for 25 years, I guess. So I picked up for Neil and Jim over a long span, and rodeoed myself. I roped and bulldogged myself, and I got to riding reining horses, and then we spent some time, when I was a kid, Matlock had a place close to us, Matlock Rose, and they'd come to Dad's place and they'd rope, and we'd go over to their place, out of G.B. Howell's place, and cut a little with them, and just sort of got the bug, you know.
Well, you were born pretty close to where I live now in Crescent, Texas. I live in Cleburne. It's maybe
It's not far.
15 miles away.
Yeah, Dad was working for Vonnie Hildreth, which was one of the founding members of the NCHA at that time. He was running a ranch there at Crescent, and that's where I was born. And there were a lot of famous cutters that come from that area. George Glasscock and Jim Calhoun and H. Calhoun. They were all friends and acquaintances and people that I admired when I was young. A good horse is a good horse no matter what time, but we just don't have the volume of them that back then that we do now.
Well, they were darn sure sound horses, just for the simple fact that they were cutting on a lot different ground, and you know, old rodeo fairgrounds and stuff. When the ropers got out of there, you know, the cutters went in, and there wasn't a lot of changing going on with the ground and the dirt.
There wasn't, and we've cut on a lot of racetracks and stuff, and that ground be just hard as concrete, you know. And there wasn't hardly any. The only indoor cuttings when I started were the stock shows, you know, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston, Denver.
Right.
That was about it.
Deuce 5.
Yeah.
Tell me about Deuce 5 and what year that was.
Well, I'd went back east working for Shoulders, running rodeo back there at Leesburg, Virginia. Dr. Wade and Victor J.R. Singer, they owned the old Chrysler estate there, and there was 6,000 acres there in Fauquier County. And they had a horse called Deuce 5. He was by Silver Wimpy, same sire of Marion's Girl that Buster was world's champion on. And he was really a nice horse. He was AQHA champion, big pretty horse. And that first year, or the first year I ever hauled a horse, I was lucky enough to be world champion AQHA and fifth in the nation NCHA. And then I showed him again, 67, was in the top 10 on him again. But he was really that horse was really consistent and a nice pony.
Well, and then I guess the next horse after that, after Deuce 5, that you ended up doing really well on was Mackie Alice.
Yeah, in '66 we took, and Mrs. A.S. Kelly from Vermont asked me to find her a horse, and I came to Houston and spent a lot of time with Lewis Pierce, and he had this mare, and she was the Black Gold King, little bitty mare, but just real cowy and nice mare. And we bought her at the sale there at Houston. She brought $13,750. At that time, that was the highest selling cutting horse that ever went through public auction.
Wow. A lot different from today.
Oh
isn't
yes,
it?
oh yeah. Then in '68, me and Jim Lee, Jim was working for me, and we had bought this horse off the racetrack. We did not start him on cattle till July. He was a AA plus racehorse. And we started him on cattle in July, and I was second in futurity on him.
Wow. That's, well, he had an inner cow sense about him that nobody tapped into.
I don't know. He was really a good horse. They showed that horse till he was 30 years old and won several world champion. He was really a nice horse, but we were lucky too, you know, for a horse just starting in July.
Wow, that's unreal. And Jim Lee worked for you, and he's also the one that rode Gandy's time?
Yes, he is world champion. I not remember for sure. I think it's 1970. Good hand, good showman. Learned a lot from him, and he's a good man. A meeting place to meet people you'd never meet in your life. I mean, trainers naturally, but you know, I've met movie stars and kings and presidents, and it's a good deal for a broke man to take and meet people that he would never run in the same circles with.
Right. Well, and you've and talking about that, some of those that you've met, you know, and I've seen pictures around here of you with them. Jay Leno and Jay Novacek and George Strait and Red Stegall and just countless others that are people that you've been acquainted with and call friends all over the country and have shared experiences with, and that's, you know, being this is only a 30-minute show, we could do half of the season with Keith Barnett.
$250,000 on this horse, and he was a nice pony. Me and Tom Lyons split
Right.
third in the futurity. I won the East Texas futurity. I won the Bonanza. I mean, just a nice pony. He belonged to Bob Waltrip out of Houston, and that's the same fella that me and Leon both rode horses for him. He won the futurity on one of his horses. And Smart Date, right?
Yep, Smart Date.
But Bob gave us the opportunity to ride really good horses, and I think we did him a good job. Flip was a nice pony.
And then let's see, and after Flip was Short Dock.
Well, yeah, Short Dock. He was
amazing.
He was a freak. He's Hall of Fame horse, and a funny story. He never got showed in an aged event. Except one time I showed him at Texas Futurity and was second on him, and he bowed a tendon there.
Big Red Solano, another horse, big time horse in the 80s for you.
Yeah, he was a really good horse. I was in the top 10 3 or 4 times. I can't even remember now, but nice horse, kind horse. Whatever the difference was, he really fit me, and man, we did good. We took, and like I said, I think I was 4 times the top 10 on him, but just a nice, kind, good horse. A lot of ability, a lot of style, really pretty horse.
Well, I know that, you know, and this also goes back to a point that was made by a good friend of ours named Roger Peters, is Keith Barnett has been known for many, many, many years as a horse mechanic. And you could take a horse that was giving somebody some trouble, bring it down here to Brenham, and fix it, and give it back to that non-pro, and they go on down the road. Roger said that, Lucky Bottom 18, I believe, was that horse. How many times did Roger bring that horse down to?
Well, Roger used to, I mean, all his horses, he'd come down sometime for a tune-up, but 18 was a good horse. I was world champion AQHA on him, but nice, big horse, but a lot of stop, draw, and good ponies.
Roger's one of those clients of yours that, you know, you've had a long, prosperous relationship with, and that's another thing that we're promoting on this show is, as folks are coming into this industry, it's going to be real frustrating and real fruitless for you to not get with somebody that you know that you can work with and have a camaraderie with, and, you know, not only work horses together, but know each other's kids, follow each other to Cuttins, eat dinner with each other. It's got to be a relationship, and you and Roger Peters had that relationship.
That's exactly right, but that's one thing you want to stress to people that are watching this show or are trying to learn and get into this business is go with somebody that's got a track record that's proven. You've got to have somebody that you can have some faith in.
And knowing that you've got your client's best interests at heart.
You got their back.
Both personally, financially, they know that you're making a decision that's in their best interest.
We all got to make a living, but you've got to take care of your customers, make sure you do what's in the best interest for them.
You just were won the ACHA's World Championship. Tell me about that horse.
Well, it was good. I was real proud of that horse. He was a horse I'd found and bought off of John Baldwin. The horse was a late 6-year-old when I bought him and won less than $400. John had showed him some and did a good job on him, but he never did quite have the chemistry to get him shown. And we showed him some as a novice horse, and he did real well. I had him up in the top 20 or 30, something like that. That we were lucky enough, he won the world show and I think the 10 novice, and then I took and happened to win the open championship with a nice, big, stopping, pretty horse.
Even before I got to meet you, I always heard the stories about Keith Barnett. It was probably one of the quietest, most decisive, snakiest fellas going into the herd, and you could take a cow from the back fence, work it all the way up, and you're kind of famous for that. And I am going to get to actually work with Keith. I brought a little horse down here to Brenham, and Keith and I are going to work together, and I'm going to try to pick up on some of that greatness that he doesn't even realize that he throws out, but I'm going to try to pick up on some of it, and we're going to get to see you work a little horse that you've got in the top 10 right now.
Great.
Well,
sounds good to me.
Let's go do it.
Get some idea how many blacks, how many yellows, how many reds there are, where I've got an idea. And then you start trying to identify them. Because it's real important to take and cut a fresh cow. Sometimes fresh cow's not the best there is, but after you study these cattle, cut a cow that'll take and honor your horse, and then you can drive to the center of that pen and get started, because you're showing your horse to that judge. And the closer you can get that cow cut to the center of the pen and the stiller you can get started with him, the better your horse has a chance of getting it. So we'll slip in here and see if we can cut one and see what it acts like. Red's fresh. Okay. I've got to get by this other cow to where I can get my horse room to operate. This little novice mare that I've been showing some this year, and she's doing real well. A little smart mate mare, been tickled with her. But the main thing is trying to show her that judge that we can control that cow.
Well, everybody, we're out here like we promised. We're in Mr. Barnett's pen, and we're fixing to get a little lesson from him on working cattle and picking our cattle and driving up out of the herd, and try to do it as close to the legend Keith Barnett can do it. We've got some great help out here. Trent Bell and the lovely Miss Paula Barnett's out here to help us. Keith, you're the king of the ranch here, so tell us what we're going to do.
Well, the main thing that we want to do, Kenny, and I mean, you've cut enough to know, but for anybody beginning, you've got to get with your turnback men. You have to study the cattle yourself. But then get with your turnback men and get their ideas and sort of clue them in what you're looking at. You've got to get everybody on the same page.
Yes, sir.
If you're not on the same page, you've got to have 4 people helping you that want you to win as well as yourself. So study the cattle, and you take and look and try and figure out the best option left. If you're early, there's a lot of options. If you're down deep, there's very few options.
Right.
The main thing you want to do is the cow you're trying to cut, get it to roll and be on the outside to where you can take that cow away from the mothers without getting into a lot of traffic. Now, sometimes you can't do that, but this is the optimum deal there.
Yes, sir.
So we've got these cattle here. Trent's been watching them. I think that red cow, the little ball-faced cow's been acting good. Just slip down there and see which one you think of shape. Get it drove up, try and break it close to the center as you can and get started with it.
Okay. Well, that's the game plan. Let's put it to work. Up here up top.
Yeah, she's fresh. She looks good. Keep bringing old Red on up here.
We've already
Try and
cut
get
the
him
brindle. We've already cut the baldy. The red cow's one we want kind of picked up front, up in the early part of this run.
Up. Good. Good cut. Now, watch this cow. All the way. Beat that cow. There we go. That's better. All the way. Sit. Relax. All the way through. Use that left leg. Make him get over. Cool. Stay down in your saddle. You're going forward a little bit. Now we're cooking. All the way. Let the cow carry you before you ride. Now go. Good boy. Now go. Cool. Yes. Stay down on your horse. Good. Good spot. Right there to quit. There. You corrected your horse on the last cow a little bit. That time you started setting a little time or two you got up. You got to stay down on her horse. But we have to let the cow carry our horse's head through there.
Okay.
When we do, then we can ride as hard as we want to. But we have to let the cow carry it. If we try and ride before then we cause problems. And that's where you were causing it there a time or two early. But then on that last cow, you got right with the groove, and not dang, you're sitting on 74 there. But it's because you were controlling the cow and controlling every movement of the cow.
And it got a little relaxed, you know. He got
sure.
a little relaxed. I got a little relaxed.
Sure.
Started working out right.
Well, that's what we got to do is get these horses. There's as much in getting our horse prepared to go down there as there is to showing the horse. They've got to be ready to go down there, but you can't scare one. You just have to get them where they're relaxed, thinking about doing the job for you and becoming part of the team.
Well, I think that was awesome. Thank you very, very, very much.
Hi, this is Gina McDonald from Ketchum, Idaho. Cuttin' Up will be right back after these messages. Thank you.
How would you like to live closer to the Will Rogers Coliseum than anyone in Weatherford, Texas? Thanks to the new Chisholm Trail Parkway, Cleburne to Fort Worth is just 25 minutes. This resort-style saltwater pool area was designed with thoughts and memories of floating the Frio River in Concan, Texas, with the relaxing atmosphere of the finest resorts in Cancun, Mexico. Definitely built for entertaining. The horsemen will appreciate all pipe fencing and turnouts with water and shelter to support a broodmare and foal operation. Lots of outbuildings, working pens, alleys, and traps for working cattle and keeping horses tuned. And a great big round pen with terrific footing for getting them ready to go show. Beautiful 20-acre fertilized Bermuda grass hay meadow that yielded 94 rolls at the first cutting. The main home with metal roof is all Austin stone and cedar trim. 4 bedrooms, lots of custom tile, wood floors throughout, crown molding, heat pump system, the list goes on. The large dining area sits next to a huge kitchen with more cabinets than you can shake a stick at. With a huge office, big yard, beautiful views, and lots of shade trees. For your little piece piece of Texas, contact Stephanie Cordaway and Keller Williams.
I'm Dr. Glenn Blodgett from the 4 Sixes Ranch here in Guthrie, Texas, and I highly recommend Alfalfa Cubes from Manzanola, Colorado. The thing I can tell you about this Top of the Rockies cube is it's the most consistent form of alfalfa I've ever been able to purchase. We feed this in the pasture on the ground some, we feed it in the lots. It really does meet all the nutritional needs. I couldn't recommend any hay source any higher than I can this Top of the Rockies cube.
Hi, I am Kathy Reiserfoot. My husband Jonathan and I have insured with Roger Peters Livestock for over 30 years. Our most recent issue was I was showing our mare. We were sitting 4th in the world and she tore a suspensory. Our insurance coverage is the reason we were able to continue on with Lola, and I so appreciate Roger Peters Livestock Insurance.
Hi, I'm Deborah Flashman from Rancho Marietta, California. Welcome back to Cuttin' Up.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope you got to enjoy visiting with Keith Barnett. He's been around the world twice and has seen it all and done it all. And if you want to go down there and ride with Keith Barnett, get a hold of him on Facebook or give him a call at this number. Keith has got a great reputation for working with non-pros and amateur clients. They go to a lot of cuttings down there in that Brenham, Texas area, and you'll have a lot of fun riding with Keith Barnett. This whole episode was brought to you by Symbiont Ag Wash. Remember, spray before you stay. Your horse's biohealth depends on it. Go to www.symbiontagwash.com to find out where you can get your hands on some of the very best biohealth preventative measures in a jug where you can spray down stalls and tack in your trailer. Remember, nothing better to keep your horse's biohealth in check with Symbiont Ag Wash. So join us right here next week. We'll be right here cutting up.
This is not the same. If you can't cut it, then get out the ring. Stay behind the gate if you can't stand the flame. Let someone in there who knows the game. If you can't cut it, move out the way. Let me in there, get out my way.
Be sure and go to Cuttin Up TV's Facebook page and like us.